Warning, this podcast was recorded before week 1 of free agency. Therefore, there will be outdated takes in this video. Please disregard those, enjoy the video, and thank you for clicking on it.
Hello and welcome to Higginsanity. I am your host, Jason Higgins.
And I'm your co-host, Dan Slott. Welcome back to another episode of Higginsanity.
It is March 3rd, 2024 at 6:08 p.m. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. Would be like the perfect time to have either like the Monday Night Football countdown theme song or the Sunday Night Football da-da-da.
Yeah, we need a soundboard because that wouldn't get annoying, us plugging in sounds every next 2 seconds.
I feel like we'd get too carried away with it and just
100%,
like random
100%.
sounds.
We'd have to, yeah. Skylar would be like banning the soundboard because he'd have to edit so much out.
He'd put limitations on us. He'd have like a rule book.
Oh yeah.
So give me your take on the 2023-2024 NFL season. Can you give me like your kind of little wrap up? I mean, obviously you're a Packers fan, so you can kind of just tell us a little bit about your Packers season and kind of what you thought about the season in general.
I mean, obviously, pleasantly surprised with how the Packers performed. I think most Packers fans were nervous going in, not sure if Love was going to be the future, not sure how he was going to connect with all the young receivers. But, obviously going to the playoffs, a nail-biter against 49ers and OT. I mean, you can't be disappointed in that season. And the way Love transformed from, like, the first, 5 to 7 games to the last 8, 9 games, unreal. Like, if he played like that all season, he would have been right up there in the MVP votes. Like, if you look at his stats for the last 9 games, he had better stats than every other quarterback. But obviously, you have to play a full season. So that's good. I mean, we kind of touched on it last time we talked. I think they really need a tight end. Just a solid tight end who can block, who can also just get like the easy dump off passes for a few yards first down, get them out of trouble. And then their secondary needs some work. They've got some good players there. And I don't know what it is about the Packers. This has been going on since like Rodgers' first start as a starter. They get so many soft tissue injuries. So I don't know if it's their training staff, their strength coordinator, or what it is, but they need to do something because they get every year they have 2, 3, 4 key players that are out for multiple weeks with nothing major, just like these lingering injuries that just a top tier secondary player, safety, free safety, whatever, can just ruin 3 games of the season easily. So I don't know what they have to do there, but overall, I mean, happy. I mean, Love solidified himself, in my opinion. He's got a good relationship with the wide receivers. He clearly has a good relationship with LaFleur. I mean, they got it clicking. They got it going. He understands the system. And then overall, the season, I thought it was a good season. I go back and forth. Like, I don't dislike the Chiefs. I don't mind that they won back-to-back, but now it's all the dynasty talk again. And, to a point, I mean, obviously, the media has a right to talk about it because what is it, 4 Super Bowls in 5 seasons now that they've been to? They've won to back-to-back. Are they going to be the first team to ever win 3 in a row? So I feel like, to an extent, the AFC, you kind of had the leaders for the most part, like the division leaders, the people you knew you were going to make the playoffs, except maybe the AFC South was a little like hit or miss because that was really tight. But even though there was some not controversy, some who will be the top seed, who will make the playoffs, like in the AFC East, like you kind of knew the Bills were going to get in. You knew the Ravens were going to get in. You know, you knew the Chiefs were going to be there. Um, and then I feel like the NFC was kind of in a way like a hot mess. You know, the Cowboys looked awesome at home. They won what like 10 straight or something at home. They couldn't be beat at home, and then they just flopped in the playoff against the Packers. So I was happy about that. But like they look like a complete different team. The Eagles had some issues. Key players injured. They've already like released some players, dropped some players. Kelsey, he's officially retired as of right now, correct?
Hmm. I believe so.
Whether he comes back or not. And so that O line could have some issues there. Like, you know, they used to be a dominant O line, but with them breaking up, are they going to have the same O line? So I think there's a lot to look forward to. And I think, and one nice thing about the NFL is, like, no matter how good a team is going to the next season, it's a clean slate. It's not like college football. Like, anybody can make a run, you know. Obviously, your take's probably a little bit different being a Bengals
Yeah.
fan, but what do you think overall?
Well, honestly, with all the injuries that happen, one with the biggest injury of them all, with Burrow being out. Honestly, just from the very beginning of the season, I mean, Burrow wasn't healthy from day one. I believe he
Yeah.
may have had two healthy games. I count like the 49ers game was one of his healthy games, and what we do, we smashed the 49ers. So I mean, Burrow was down. Cam Taylor-Britt, one of our best defensive players, I mean, he was down most of the season. T. Higgins was out most of the season. Jamar missed a couple games. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, tight end spot, Irv Smith Jr. missed a dozen games. I mean, the list goes on with injuries. And for them to almost still reach the playoffs was honestly impressive. Jake Browning, honestly, I think turned a lot of heads. He shocked
Yeah,
me.
I was gonna ask you what you thought about him because I mean, not that you're gonna get rid of Burrow by any means, but the fact that he came in and played that well when he was needed the most, I mean, they've got to have that in the back of their head. Like if Burrow keeps getting injured season in, season out, you know, we have a viable backup.
Yeah, it's good that we now have. I mean, that was the thing. One of the things going into the season is we didn't know if we had a backup QB. We had Brandon Allen these last couple of years. Finley. 3 years ago. I mean, but nobody. Really special. But now, obviously, looking at it now, we have a valuable option as a backup QB. So honestly, if, going into next season, I say if fourth quarter comes around, we're up, 3 touchdowns. I would say get Burrow out of there as soon as you can,
Yeah,
and you can lean on Browning at that point in time because we have that
yeah,
confidence in him to
yeah.
do
You
so.
don't have to be worried
Yes.
that your backup's going in. Yeah.
Um,
What do you think about the Lions?
the
You think
Lions.
they're for real?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, talking about this before the season even started that I felt like the Lions were going to be a team in the NFC that was going to be pushing as a contender. I thought the way they finished the season before and a couple of their pieces, like, I mean, St. Brown, I think is going to be possibly
Yeah.
a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I think in the next couple of years, I think his name's going to be up there. I mean, right now it's really tough. I mean, really tough to crack the top 5 when you have, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, guys like that, to where, you got stuff you can, I mean, now, yeah, and
Yeah.
so AFC wise, I knew the Ravens were going to be up there. I knew they looked pretty on paper. It was disappointing to see what they did in the playoffs. Um, I think I'm a huge Lamar. I mean, I'm a Lamar. I'm not a huge. I am a big Lamar Jackson fan just because when
Yeah.
he played at Louisville. So even though he's in the AFC North with the Bengals, seeing him win MVP again was nice just because I am been a Louisville Cardinal fan and was watching him at Louisville. But that stigma is going to still continue to follow him in the playoffs because he hasn't led a team past the first round.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
mean,
this was the
honestly,
oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like this would have been the year for him to do so because of all the injuries that was in the AFC. I think this was the weakest Chiefs team of these 5-year Super Bowl runs. Just,
Yeah.
and I think this was their best opportunity going in. Because if you look you looked at the Chargers. Justin Herbert done. You looked at the Bengals, no Burrow. You looked at the Jets, no Rodgers. You just go down the list.
Yeah.
And then
I would I would almost disagree with you that this was the weakest Chiefs team in their Super Bowl run. Only because, they were so dominant for so long and had such an explosive offense that teams started to figure them out. Teams did slow them down, no questions asked. But when it came down to it, they found a way to win. Their defense stepped up. Mahomes didn't have to put up the gaudy numbers. They played as a complete full unit. And whether it's pretty or not, they still got the Super Bowl and won. So the fact that they're able to take on the adversity and overcome it, in a way, to me, makes them a stronger team.
I still think just with all the injuries and with everybody out, I still think it's hard to say with the playoffs and how it was. I still think with a fully healthy Bengals team, I still think with
Yeah.
a fully healthy Chargers team, not saying that they would have been a Super Bowl contender or anything like that, I think would have been a major difference. That's why
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
because I look at it, the days when they had Tyreek Hill, they had such an explosive
Yeah.
offense, but this
Yeah.
year it was their defense that saved them a lot
Correct.
of the time. But right now Chris Jones is a free agent, and they either are going to probably use the franchise tag on Chris Jones or their best defensive secondary and Snead. And I'm pretty sure Snead didn't let up a
Yeah.
touchdown until the AFC
Oh, yeah.
Championship and then the
I
Super
was gonna
Bowl.
say, yeah, I think the championship game, yeah.
Yeah.
And to that, yeah, I agree. Like there were injuries in the AFC, and a lot of their top competitors, did have injuries, but that happens every year. And like the Super Bowl to me was a prime example. They weren't playing great; they were in the game, but when it came down to it, I don't know what was said on the sidelines, but Mahomes and Kelsey had a conversation, and we're like, look. We've done this how many times? We can do it again. And then it was just the Kelsey Mahomes show. Drove down the field. He had more yards in the fourth quarter than he did the rest of the game. So they do still have that X factor between a few players when they really need to. They get it done. And that's what makes a team like that so dangerous.
Or can I play devil's advocate and say they look so good in the fourth quarter because Kyle Shanahan is prone to those big time losses in the fourth quarter? Was that his second Super Bowl? And then with the AFC Championship last year?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you do have a point there.
Not taking anything
So
away
yeah,
from
yeah,
Mahomes. I mean,
yeah.
Mahomes
It's
is,
just
yeah.
It's my point is they're just scary. Like
Mhm.
whether they're down or not, whether they're playing like crap, you never know when they're just gonna turn it on. And that's like, Tom Brady, as much as I hate to say it, he could do that. I mean, look at the Super Bowl against the Falcons. He came back from what 24-7, and that's what makes those quarterbacks so dangerous. And to your point, that's what we haven't seen from Lamar Jackson. He makes great plays with his legs and his arms. He's a great talent, but when the pressure's on, can he rise to the occasion? And so far, he hasn't been able to. And for the longest time, Peyton Manning had that attached to him
Mhm.
because he had a awesome regular season. The season where they went undefeated. They were like 14 and then lost the 15th game or something like that, or 15-1 and lost the last game or whatever.
Mhm.
And before he got those two Super Bowls, that was attached to him for a long time. Can he win when it comes down to it?
No. For me, I have the confidence in beating the Chiefs just with Burrow being 3-1 against the Chiefs. It's the
Yeah.
Browns that I never have confidence in beating the Browns because for some reason Burrow plays his worst games against Cleveland. Cincinnati themselves play themselves into a hole against Cleveland.
That's how I feel about Detroit. The Packers
Mm-hmm.
in that division.
Mm-hmm.
You never know where Detroit team's going to show up.
Right. Right. So what about the Bills? I mean,
Yep.
I think we've talked again like earlier about like their window and things like that. And like my other question is Stephon Diggs still a number one option receiver for a
I
playoff
think
team, Super
I
Bowl
think
team?
he is, but I think, from outside looking in, to me the Bills should really look at their play style because I mean Josh Allen is a beast. They talk about him being Superman, running people over, getting the first downs. Great, but he's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not as nimble. He's not as fast. How long can he take those beatings? So I think like this season, Diggs would have been better if they used him properly.
Okay.
You know,
Yep.
obviously he's getting double teamed and all that, so you can't just throw to. It's not like the Randy Moss cheat code in like the '90s with in Madden.
Mhm.
But that to me, Josh Allen looked too much to run first and be the Superman of the team and
Mhm.
make the plays. And that's not going to be viable forever. You just can't take those beatings and those big hits, even if you're a big guy like Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think I still think Stephon Diggs is a number one receiver. I just think they need a number two option. I believe when they had Cole Beasley, I feel like he took a lot of slack off Stephon Diggs, just because he was able to, um, I don't know, Beasley was just a different breed. I feel like. But I feel like they've been in the same spot the last 5, 6 years, like
Yeah.
nonstop.
What do you think about Devontae Adams? Do you think he's regretting going to the Raiders at this point?
Yeah, because one, he went there for Jimmy G. I feel like, and now Jimmy G's not even. I feel like gonna be on the Raiders.
Yeah.
One, I think there's trade talks that are about him right now, but I feel like there's been trade talks about him since what midway point of last season.
Yeah. And to your point about Diggs is they don't have like a really good number two to take some of the heat off of Adams. Like their next best receiver is Hunter Renfro, which is he's a stud, but he's not getting the attention
Yeah.
of a
Mm-hmm.
true like stud number two receiver.
Yeah.
He's more of the sure-handed slot receiver, the gritty guy.
Yeah.
He's not a big playmaker.
Yeah, and I'm happy. So with the Bengals, we franchise tagged T Higgins.
Yeah,
So um, I'm really hoping that we can get a healthy T Higgins and a healthy Bro, because it'd be fantastic to
and
see.
and a healthy Chase.
Yeah, I mean I don't have any doubt with him with the
Well,
Jamar.
but that's the thing, dude. I thought I had it locked in fantasy football. I had Burrow and Jamar Chase, and I got more points off of Jordan Love and a Green Bay receiver because they
Yeah,
stayed healthy.
yeah. So that's huge going in. Um, but the question mark is going to be at the tight end option. Is what we're going to do if we're going to try to go after Bowers in the draft. If we don't get Bowers in the draft, are we gonna who we're going to get in the free agency? Um, who we're going to spend money on? We do with after franchise tagging T Higgins. I believe we still have over 50 point something million in the bank. So I mean, we got some spending room. And so there's some different talks out there. So I'm interested to see who we're bringing back, who we're going to sign. But definitely a tight end option is huge, especially for Burrow and the system that the Cincinnati Bengals run. I know Callahan, our offensive coordinator, is not going to be there anymore. Um, but Zach Taylor was our play caller anyway, so I'm interested to see. I'm interested. I mean, it's here in the next 2 weeks. One, because what the combine's going on right now.
Hmm.
Draft's coming up here in next month, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different talks going on. So I'm interested to
I
see.
think I think the crazy thing is going to be where quarterbacks end up this year. A lot of team needs quarterback. A lot of teams need quarterbacks, and it's not like a crazy quarterback heavy draft.
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at the top picks, you know, the Bears probably need a quarterback. The Commanders need a quarterback. The Patriots could use a better quarterback. You know,
Do you think the Steelers go after a quarterback or no? Do you think
I
they
don't know
rely on
because I've heard
Pickett?
talks that the Steelers want Fields.
I don't see the Steelers leaving Pickett because that's just not how the Steelers do
Yeah,
things. I feel like
that
they
I feel the way the Steelers play. If they took Fields, they would be confident that they could let him play his game
mhm.
because that the Bears did not. They went back and forth with go ahead, run the ball. Nope, you need to become a pocket passer, and then go ahead, you get a little leeway to run, and I think that just messed with Fields' psyche. So I think for Fields in his career, I think he would be happy to go somewhere else to a team that says play your game or this is our scheme. Either you're going to play our scheme and you're going to learn it, or we're going to let you play your game. And I think just because of the way the Steelers and especially Tomlin coaches, like if he goes there, they're gonna be like, "This is what we're doing. We're gonna spend the entire offseason and we're gonna work on this." But I think the Bears are done with Fields or should be done with Fields.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. So, do they draft Caleb Williams? Do they draft Jaden Daniels? Like, this is going to be a huge pick for the Bears, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a huge because one, you drafted Justin Fields, and now you're getting rid of him. If you get rid of Justin Fields, I feel like you have to get this pick right.
Yeah, that or like we've talked about before, do they play the game of we'll draft a quarterback but keep Justin Fields, give him a season, maybe two, see if he can correct it. If not, we have this rookie quarterback that's been sitting behind him for 1 or 2 years. And then if Justin Fields still is a wash, get him out, and we have not a rookie, but he's at least been in the in the league for a couple of years.
I that's an option. I think one that's a good option. But if you draft Caleb Williams, do you think that he'll be one to want to do that role? Just the way he answers the interview questions
Right,
and the way he carries himself.
right.
I'm not saying I didn't see much about Jaden Daniels in his interviews. I just seen a lot of interviews about a lot of the stuff about Caleb Williams. Do you think that would be something that he'd want to do? Do you think he'd want to be like Jordan Love for a couple
Right.
seasons? I mean, do you think that?
Yeah. And I think that's what the Vikings should do. They because I think Kirk Cousins would be willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the Vikings should be like, look, here's 2 more years. We're gonna draft a quarterback, you know, and then after 2 years, you're a free agent. But we're preparing for the future because I think Kirk Cousins knows it. You know, he's getting towards the end of his career. But if he gets paid for a couple of years and knows going into it,
Mm-hmm.
like I think the Vikings would be really smart to do that because they brought Kirk Cousins in and he's decent, but I don't think he's a franchise quarterback.
No, I don't. And, just like throwing this out there, it'd be great for Justin Jefferson just to hop on the LSU train and, come over to Cincinnati and, it'd be perfect. It's perfect. Honestly, it'd be perfect time. And Super Bowl is, going to be in New Orleans next year. And so LSU reunion. And Lil Wayne's already saying, "Hey, let me be the halftime performance." I mean, that all goes right in perfect timeline order. So if the NFL script really wants some good ratings next year, they really need to go off of that script. Cause
Yeah, speaking of the halftime show, what'd you think of the Super Bowl halftime show?
um, I liked it. I wish Usher would have played a couple more of like his like upbeat songs.
Yeah,
I did like honestly, I knew every song that he did perform, which I like every song he did perform. I'm not going to complain
yeah.
about any of them. I just wish there was a couple more like of his more upbeat songs that was
Yeah,
on that set
I thought it
list.
was really weird that it started so slow.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're the halftime show. Like you've only got what 12 minutes or whatever it is. Like just get up there and crank it out.
Yeah. I like some of the memes of like the dancing where he's like, and,
Yeah,
and it's like me when I'm like trying to find my wallet or my cell phone.
yeah. Like when you leave the house and you touch every pocket to make sure you didn't forget anything.
Yes, yes. But no, I thought Alicia Keys looked fine. I mean, I think she's
Well, I mean,
whoa, good lord.
she could show up in like, a corduroy suit and she'd still look fine. I mean,
Yep, and then Lil Chris and Lil John, you know. Oh, you want to hear a funny story? So I was my mom ended up saying something about the performance, and when that one dude came up, the little short dude with like the
yeah.
glasses, my
Oh
mom
gosh,
goes,
yeah.
"Is that Lil John?" All because the dude was short. I'm like, nah, that's not how it is. That's what she was telling
Yeah.
me. But no, I thought I mean when Ludacris came on, I was like Luda, and so I
Oh yeah.
started. Yeah, I mean that was big. So I'm trying to think of a halftime performance that I really. I mean I liked Rihanna's performance for the most part. I liked the Eminem, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent
I was gonna
one.
say that was the best
That
one in a
yeah,
long
that
time. The
was
Snoop
obviously
Dogg, Eminem, oh, that was
yeah
awesome.
favorite one. Even though the Bengals got screwed out of a penalty call at the end of the Super Bowl, I'm not gonna love that down. Anyways, it was a good night. Besides that, I cried for hours. Um,
Yeah.
ridiculous. But I'll just before I go back in that tunnel. Um, when we're talking about the combine, do you think it's more valuable for a guy to do all the activities or do some of the different tests?
So I was saying I think it depends on the position.
Okay.
Like, to me, everybody should run the 40-yard dash.
Yes.
Does a quarterback or like a safety really need to do bench press? Probably not, but you want a lineman to do it
Mm-hmm.
because you want to see if their shoulders are good. You want to see how strong they are.
Right.
So I think it's purely position based in my opinion. I mean, if someone wants to go out and do it all, if they've got something to prove, more power to them. But I tried to watch some of the combine, and it's rough to sit there and watch the combine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just announcers sitting there and guys in shorts and a t-shirt running 40-yard dashes and bench pressing and catching balls. But I mean, obviously for the scouts and the teams, it's important. But as a spectator, it's a rough watch.
Yeah, I think it also like depending on what your projection is, if like you're a late projection and you really need to like make a name for yourself, I think going into
Oh
the
yeah,
combine is huge. But if you're
you
like
do everything you can to get your name
yeah,
out there.
right,
100%,
yeah.
100%. Yeah,
I just wanted to ask you, did you see Notre Dame's QB, Sam Harshman?
I did not.
The flow, man. The
Oh
flow
yeah,
he has. Everybody's commenting on it saying he's gonna be on the new Head and Shoulders commercial, and like he's gonna
he's
have
gonna
like
take over for Palomalu.
yeah, he's gonna be on the horse with Fabio, and like I was cracking up. Like I mean, low key, I wish I had that flow. Like it was nice, low key, like for real. But that's what I was just wondering and what your take on it and everything. I do agree with you though. Like like certain positions, like I don't think bench press is really that important. So
Yeah.
like go in there and show what you can do. Obviously, if you're training and otherwise on the side, that's probably something that's in your training technique.
Oh yeah, he's
But
had that flow for a while, man.
yeah,
But yeah, it's good flow. It's
yeah
good flow.
yeah good flow, man. Like I'm
Yeah.
telling you, he's you know
That salad's nice for all you hockey fans. He's got some nice salad.
oh man. So draft wise, do you think who the Packers projecting? Who do you think that? Okay, two-part question.
Yeah.
Who do you think draft wise the Packers are kind of looking at, and what do they need? And then off season wise, what off season signing or trade or what do you think is the most important for the Green Bay Packers?
I think they need to improve on safety and cornerback. They need some
Okay.
depth there for sure.
Okay.
I think that'll be where they go in the draft.
Okay.
And then as much as I love Bakhtiari, he's been injured on and off for the last 3 seasons.
Oh, yep. I know
And
what you're
even
talking
though
about.
he's a stud now, I think they really need to start look at strengthening their O line.
Mm-hmm.
Just have some solid backups that can sub in, give him some breathers, get some experience so that when he does either move on or retire, they don't have that gap. And then I really hope, I mean, Kenny Clark is a stud, so I hope they can build around him still and keep him. Because when it comes to the run, that dude just fills gaps like he's a monster. And then their linebacking core is decent. I think they just need to play together. So I hope they can keep their core just so they can get the team atmosphere, the team work together, and know how everybody plays. But I think they'll be good on the linebacker side.
I think Cincinnati wise, one, losing Jesse Bates and Von Bell, I think really showed on our defensive side this last year. That was a big hurt. One, Jesse Bates, I believe, was a Pro Bowler again for the Falcons this past season. Obviously, tight end is a huge need for us. We don't have a tight end at all. Zero. None. We definitely need to add to. Jonah Williams is a free agent, so I definitely think adding to the O line, especially to the right side. I mean, obviously we got Orlando Brown Jr. on the left side, and we got Kappa, we got Karras, we got Volson. So I think obviously adding to the O line is another big need. I think every year. I think for us, as long as Burrow's back there, I think every year we should continuously look to beefing up our O line no matter what.
Right.
Just because one, Burrow has had some injuries, and we need to keep him healthy. And just the more time he has to throw to Jamar Chase and T. Hit, I mean, is just going to be huge. And then defensively, I think adding to the secondary is huge, and maybe adding one more to the edge. Trey Hendrickson obviously doesn't get get the love he should. Second leading in sacks, only behind T.J. Watt this last year. Year before, same position. Just because he plays for the Bengals, I feel like he doesn't get that love for a Defensive Player of the Year. He is unreal. Love that guy to death. Huge for us. So I think obviously draft-wise, Bowers is our number one option looking for. So I'm eager to see if we're going to trade up, because I don't see him falling to 18. I really don't. I see, you got the Jets at 10 that I think could really use a tight end. Heck, the Chargers, I feel like could just, with their offense and their scheme of things, they could go out and maybe, scoop them up at number 5. I feel like they need more of an offensive lineman, like, just because Herbert has been in the same position, been injured and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see. But we have, like I said, we have over $50 million. There's been rumors. I doubt this happens, but it would be quite hilarious if Chris Jones came over to Cincinnati and we steal another Chief from them. That would be hilarious. There's talks out there. I don't see it really happening, to be honest. I feel like he's going to be the one that's franchise tag anyways.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
What do you think of the Broncos? Are they going to ride or die with Russell Wilson, or are they going to get a QB, or
I
how do you
think
think
they're
that's
going
going
to
to
get a
go?
QB. I think benching Russell, the way they benched Russell Wilson at the end of the season when they were in the realms of a playoff team possibly, and the way Wilson was playing, because honestly Russell Wilson wasn't having a bad season. I mean, I feel like everybody focused so much on that tragic 70-point loss.
Yeah, like the almost 800 yards of offense they gave up, and
Yeah, because really after that, I mean, if you look at Russell Wilson's stats for the season and things of that nature, he really didn't have a terrible year. He was making good decisions. Like, honestly, I don't think he had a bad year. But to bench him and the way Sean Payton and him meshed through that season, I don't really see. I see them drafting a quarterback. They may keep Wilson and try to see what this rookie QB does and go from there and see if it's a QB battle this offseason. They may do like you look at the Titans last year. It was kind of like a little bit of a battle between Tannehill and Levis and the other, and I can't remember the other guy. But I mean, there's some free agents out there. You got Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley is a free agent.
Yeah.
You got Jalen Johnson from the Bears, which is would be a huge defensive pickup, I think, for any team. Is a free agent. Chris Jones, if he doesn't get franchise tag. Wait, has the franchise tag already been? Or teams? Is that option? Has that time ran up? Or is
I
it
don't
just
know.
for certain positions? I feel like I thought. I don't know, because we franchised T Higgins a solid, like, I feel like a week or so ago. So I'm not sure. But they're Baker Mayfield, he's a free agent. Does he come back to the Buccaneers, or the offensive coordinator? I think he took the head coaching position at
Yeah,
Carolina.
so the Bengals franchise tagged him like 6 days ago.
Okay. So is the
Yeah.
franchise tag deadline over, or is that? That would be my question.
Let's find out. Uh, First big date is coming up soon. They could have started February 20th and it ends March 5th. So this Tuesday.
So they got till Tuesday to
Yeah.
franchise. Okay.
Yep. And then free agency opens up a week after that.
Okay. I'm interested to see who's gonna be out. We'll see some moves. I'm interested. I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
But I think this draft's gonna be important for a few different teams for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's a bunch of good free agents on the market right now.
mhm. Oh yeah,
Chase Claypool, Ezekiel Elliott,
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs. I mean, take what you will. I think he's going to stay with the Jets, but Randall Cobb's on the list. Delvin Cook. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good options. I think Dalvin Cook's a under the radar pickup.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that would be a good pickup for a team. I'm interested to see if what we're gonna do. I feel like with franchise tagging T Higgins. I mean Tyler Boyd, he's a free agent, and he's been a Bengal for years. He's been really He's been our consistent, healthy wide receiver for years. Has been very good for
Yep.
us. I hate to see him in a different uniform, but
Yeah.
if he goes somewhere, I understand just because of the money aspect and whatnot. But I hope he goes to a contender. I hope he goes to somebody in the NFC. But whoever he goes to, he definitely would be a huge pickup for any team. Hopefully, he stays with the Bengals, but I don't know if that might happen. It'll be an interesting year. But I say we get our early predictions a little bit.
Oh gosh.
Just kidding.
Way too early
Just
for
kidding. Just
predictions.
kidding. I feel like my top 5 power ranking teams right now going into next season. Everybody healthy.
Okay.
Everybody healthy.
So just do, instead of top 5 power, pick like favorites for the divisions. Everybody healthy, favorites for each division.
Okay. AFC, I got the Bengals obviously coming out of the AFC North.
Yeah.
Still got the Chiefs coming out of their division.
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Okay.
I think the Dolphins, especially Dolphins. And I will say, fully healthy.
The AFC South is such a
Yeah.
crapshoot.
fully healthy, it's a tough one because C.J. Stroud was
Yeah,
nice this year,
he was impressive. Yeah.
but I think the Colts with
Ooh, okay.
a fully healthy Anthony Richardson and a fully healthy Jonathan Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
full season Jonathan Taylor, hopefully, and I think the Colts would. I think they're really right there under the radar.
Yeah.
Hopefully Michael
Yeah,
Pittman.
because they lost a lot of close games,
Yeah.
and they gave away some games where they had big leads. If they can tighten that up a bit,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they can definitely be a contender.
Yeah, and then NFC, I say the Packers. Way Jordan Love, especially I
Yeah.
think midway to the end of the season to the playoffs. I mean, he definitely showed. So I think that's great. I think that's huge for especially a younger player from playing that well at the end of a season. I feel like that's momentum going into the next season rather as you play good the first half of the season and then drop off.
Right. Right.
Um, I have the Cowboys because they're a regular season team. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean they're
Yeah.
going to do anything in the playoffs, but they're a heck of a regular season team.
Yeah. I agree with
Um,
that.
oof. Hmm. So now,
Are you looking at the NFC South?
yeah, I feel like the Saints are a sleeper team because Kamara was suspended last season for a
Yep.
percentage of the season. Um, I feel like quarterback wise, they might look for a quarterback in the draft, or they might continue to go with their option. But I think with a fully healthy Kamara, I think they have a pretty good wide receiver class when they're fully healthy.
Yeah.
Because they have Chris Olave, Michael Thomas still. But like I said, Michael Thomas hasn't been healthy or around, and since he had
Yeah, because
those
he
big
he's
years.
had ankle injuries.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think tight end wise, I think they're good to go. So I think they're a sleeper team. And then I have the 49ers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have the 49ers.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I agree with most of those, although I think in the AFC East, I don't the Dolphins are good. I still don't buy in them completely. Um, and it just depends. Like the Jets could be up there. I mean, they've got the talent if they put it together.
yeah, sure. And I forgot with the
Um,
fully Rod with Rodgers too.
yeah,
Yep.
I think the Jets are gonna pull out the East. I think the Bengals fully healthy will pull out the AFC North. Um, just because of Stroud, if he can play like he did,
Yep.
I'm gonna take the Texans, the Chiefs. I completely agree with the Cowboys. They're going to win that division, especially with the issues that the Eagles could have moving forward. I'm going to pick the Packers, although I think it's going to be close. I think the Lions will be right up there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the NFC South, gosh. I'd probably pick the Saints as well, just because I don't have faith in any of the other three teams.
Yeah.
So I think kind of by default, the Saints will
Yeah.
pull it out,
Yep.
and then the Niners.
Yeah. Because the
Yeah,
Falcons, do you think they go for a quarterback in the draft?
probably.
Yep. And
I
then you
think they
have the
almost have to.
and then you have the Panthers, right?
Yeah.
So, and I mean that's a crap
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's a lot of QBs, but this draft there's a lot of skilled position players, and there's a lot of offensive linemen, like good
Yeah.
offensive linemen. So, I think the Bengals are in good position at 18th. If we don't get Bowers, we're gonna get a top-notch offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Which in Mel Kiper's new mock draft, um, he's got. Let me see. I just had it up. He's got I'm definitely gonna say his name wrong. Taliesin Fuega. If
Yeah.
that's right, hell yeah. He's the offensive tackle from Oregon State. So 6'6" at 335 pounds. He allowed just 1 sack over the past 2 seasons. So that would be fantastic to have a guy like that on the offensive line. Obviously there's times where those things don't tend to carry over to the NFL, like with other
Right.
linemen and in the past. Like, I mean, there's been some major linemen that have come from major schools that have turned out to be,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. But then you look at
Yeah.
like Sewell for the Lions. I mean, he's phenomenal. I mean, there's a few of them that are out there that are just,
Yeah.
you look at
I
the
feel like
49ers.
I feel like in a way running backs and linemen are very similar when it goes from college to the NFL, where linemen can be like the biggest, strongest people in college, and then they go to the NFL, and they're just like everybody else, and that skill set, that size doesn't translate. And then running backs, going back a ways, like Reggie Bush, he was the fastest, quickest, could hit, get to the edge and just run past people in college, and then he gets to the NFL. Successful player to a point, but like completely different play style. He had to turn into a passing or a receiving back, to get his playing time and things like that. And I think those two positions really like kind of are similar in that aspect. Whereas like cornerbacks, receivers, they can kind of adjust their game a little bit, find their niche in the NFL. They might be a big play in college, but then they go more to a slot receiver in the NFL and still are successful. Cornerbacks might not be as good as man to man as they were in college, but they can still play zone and they find their niche.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, quarterbacks are up there too. They can, be hella awesome in college, but then, different reads, different speed in the NFL can really mess them up. But
Right. No, I definitely agree. Um, Speaking of Reggie Bush, I'm gonna die on this cliff. He should have his Heisman reinstated, and he should be on there on stage, getting his Heisman. I think Johnny Manziel is no longer going to partake in that stuff because he's like, it doesn't set right with me being able to be up there with my Heisman at the stuff that I did,
yeah,
throughout college or whatever the case may be. But I mean, he's got a case to be, if not the best, one of the best, if not the best college football player to ever step foot on the field.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous for any sports program to like penalize organizations, players for past transgressions, because if you can't figure from an entire team for a coach having misconduct or a player having misconduct, it's like you have all these rules and regulations for each level of a sporting, you know, organization. Like, figure it out.
right. Louisville Cardinals 2013 National Basketball Championship. Hang them.
Yeah,
We should. Don't matter. They can't take the rings away,
right.
nor the memories. And so I mean, it is what it is. But I feel like that's our takes on the NFL. I think I'm hoping this season. I know there's injuries every season. There's always going to be injuries, especially in the
Right.
NFL. I feel like the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs definitely missed like Joe Burrow. I feel like I definitely want to like see the Chargers fully healthy. I want to see the Raiders fully healthy. I want to see the
Yeah.
Bengals fully healthy. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. When it comes to the playoffs, you always want to see the best players in the
yeah,
sport.
yeah,
I mean,
and
like you said, injuries happen. It is what it is, and it's impressive to see a team overcome those. But it's just like if you buy tickets to a Bengals game in preseason, and then 8 weeks down the road, in week 7, Burrow gets hurt, and you've paid those prices to see Burrow play, and he doesn't play.
yeah,
Obviously, you're excited to go see him, but you don't get to see Burrow play.
yeah. It's just you want to see the best players out there play the best ball. That's definitely like you want to see. see the games be competitive and whatnot, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm interested to see here in a few weeks what happens with free agency. I'm interested to see what happens in the draft, and then we'll come back with another podcast about the NFL before the season starts and kind of give our takes on how the draft went, how our free agency went, and then kind of give our predictions on who's going to come out of the divisions, who's going to come out of the conference, and then who do we think is going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I like it.
So
I like it. Well, with that, until next time. Deuces.